Good night, everyone. On the behalf of the Rotary Club of St. Croix, I am the president, Dean Andrews. I would like to take this opportunity to first thank Alex and the team from the Rotary Club for putting this great opportunity together for our territory. And also, I'd like to thank all our participants, Rotarians, as well as our guests, taking the time out of your day to not only participate in this, but really your efforts and your contribution are not only nourishing yourselves mentally, but it's nourishing all of those on this call, and it's going to help us in a way to make business more prevalent in our community. We will learn from each other, and this will not be the last opportunity we have to continue doing this. Alex has taken a great endeavor on. She saw the need for this to happen as a visionary. That's part of who she is. She sees stuff before it comes around the corner. And this is just another great example of, her leadership in the space that she exists. So I just want to really personally thank you for that, Alex. They always say in the Bible, if you have a talent, or if you have a light, don't put it under the table. Put it on top of the table. And in this situation, you are a light in our community, in our club, for the things that you do. So we're going to present you on top of the table to make the room and the Virgin Islands a brighter place. So thank you for your efforts. Thank you to past President Kai, incoming President Annika, Joelle, and some other ones that are on a call from the club. This is just the way that we're going to show the world what we need here as Rotarians, as well as Virgin Islanders. So the floor is yours, Alex. We're gonna have a great night tonight. We just ask that, one speaker at a time, and just take your time, and we got all the time we need to get this done. So Alex, the floor is yours. If you have nothing else for me, I'm about to mute my mic and sit back and let's see history happen.
Well, President Dean, thank you so much. I really appreciate your kind words. We're just gonna get right into it. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotary Club of St. Croix Entrepreneurship Series, starting a business in the Virgin Islands. So we're breaking this series down into 4 weeks. It's going to be held every Wednesday at 6 p.m. via Zoom. So I'm just going to break down what each week we're going to discuss. This week, we're going to have a panelist with Avera Tech, Cultured Naturals Beauty Care, Upper Class OG, if they can make it in, and Crucian Gold. I know he's running a little behind because he had an prior engagement, but he should be on later. Next week, Wednesday, we're going to be discussing setting up the business types and structures. That's like LLC, corp, nonprofit, and so forth. Registering a business license, and business insurance. We have some great speakers that will be presenting on these topics. On April 20th, we have acquiring funding. So we'll be discussing business banking. That includes setting up a business account, business credit, and so forth, as well as business funding. We're gonna have some from the EDA and another speaker from RT Park discussing some funding opportunities there. So very good, some awesome resources. I hope you guys are able to come out for the other days. The last week, we're going to have continued business success. We're going to have a Johnny Dowdy speaking on operations and bookkeeping. And then we're going to have another set of panelists from Bliss Bar and Restaurant, Jungle James, Red Sunset Realty, and Yvette Ross Edwards PC. And we're going to do very similar to what we're doing today, discussing each of these businesses, business journeys in the Virgin Islands. So just to sum it up, our goal is to provide necessary information and resources to assist potential entrepreneurs with starting their business. This 4-week series will be discussing, as I said, the technical setup of a business specific to the Virgin Islands, acquiring sustainable funding, and setting a business up for success. We have some local business owners on the line ready to share their personal experiences with us, the pros and the cons and everything in between. So this evening we have Cultured Naturals, as I said, Avera Tech, Upper Class OG, and Crucian Gold, which Nathan will be joining us later. And as I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now for the meantime. So I just would like, let's start with Cultured Naturals. I want each, before we get into the questions, each business owner that's on the line right now to just introduce themselves as with their name, their position, the business structure, and how many years they've been in the industry. And then, you know, give us a little insight on your business journey, if you can.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ramon, and I'm the owner of Cultured Naturals. My business was established approximately 7 years ago, and it is an LLC. Did I miss anything, Alex? Before I veer into the spiel?
Nope, you got it all.
It's so lovely seeing everyone. Good afternoon again. So Cultured Naturals started as just a hobby, I would say, or a route, I would say, to better self-care, better health. So after a cancer diagnosis, working as a nurse, busy, yeah, life took a really hard halt, and I had to take inventory of what was happening in my world. This definitely had me moving from an ICU, ER nurse, fast moving, working all the time, to, okay, now I have to really face this other issue. And while I was doing that, I kind of honed into also the want to help myself while I'm trying to get medical care. And that was taking a look at what I was using in and on my body. So my grandmother, who was a nurse about 40 years, she was also into holistic medicine. So I learned quite a bit from her. Started using her bush medicine, you know, with a lot of scientific evidence and support that I found to be very beneficial for myself. And then people started asking me, hey, your hair looks good, your skin looks good. What are you using? What are you doing? And at that time, I'm like, I'm going through the worst time in my life. I look great. Okay, thank you. Well, I'm doing this. I'm just using a couple of my concoctions. And then I started to really take this seriously, to turn it into a business, because I really loved it. It's pulled a lot of traditional learnings, as well as incorporated my scientific background. And with an MBA and being business savvy, I'm like, this makes sense. I can slow down and still be able to have the earning power and the fulfillment I would get from this kind of job. So moving from a nurse to kind of still being in a care setting, because I'm creating therapeutic sort of products. So they have a beauty benefit, but they also boast a therapeutic value as well. And so that's how we started, up and going. And 7 years later, we have definitely had quite a great journey to present, and a strong footing now in the marketplace. And I would say that we are now on a great trajectory to definitely taking our brand globally. So that's the synopsis of it. Where's everybody's faces? I can't see anybody's faces. So I'm like, well, I see Tasha and Alex and Mr. Dean. Thank you guys, and Anika, everybody.
Potential clients, show your face.
Yeah, I need that skin stuff right now. I look shabby.
And I'm first up, so I'm like,
That was amazing.
No, awesome backstory. I'm so happy for you to share that with us.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Avera Tech.
Good afternoon. Brief background. CEO and co-founder of Avera Tech. Avera is analogous to the aloe vera plant because we solve multiple problems. Brief background, Marine Corps vet. After my service, I decided to move back to St. Croix and attended a university. And while I was at a university, my junior year, I realized that the government would need to fill a gap when it comes to medicinal cannabis. At the time, Governor Mapp had some legislation that came to his desk. He didn't move forward on it. And when I started to look more into the potential medicinal or recreational cannabis industry, I realized that the local population was significantly too small to uphold the industry. So my co-founder and I created what we call now Avera, and it was a way to expedite the medicinal and recreational card acquisition via telemedicine. How is that done? If you're on the port of Miami and you want to come to St. Croix and you want to engage in medicinal and recreational cannabis, if you've never been here before, you could understand how cumbersome it would be if you're only on port for 6 hours. You port on Frederiksted. When you port, you have to find a local physician. And if it's on a weekend, good luck. If it's on a weekday, okay, you got the appointment, they approve you, then you have to go to a government office. Trying to find a government office is already going to be complicated. You get your ID, you finally make it back to the dispensary. When you go to the dispensary, they told you, oh, they don't take card. So you have to find an ATM. And time you come back to purchase 4 grams of cannabis, you already used 5 hours of your port time. No one wants to come to the Virgin Islands or any port in the Caribbean running around trying to buy legal cannabis. So our solution is, if you're in Port of Miami, you download the Avera app. And we download the Avera app, you say you're coming to St. Croix, the app would list all the physicians on St. Croix. The beauty of cannabis and telemedicine, everything that you could be diagnosed via telemedicine can also be cured through medicinal cannabis, i.e. glaucoma, nausea, especially if you're coming on a cruise ship. So you pick your local physician, they say, hey, Kai Nielsen, you're approved for medicinal cannabis, you're nauseous from being on the Victory Cruise. From there, you purchase your ID via app, you connect your credit card to our system. When you go into the dispensary has our POS system, and then the government use our track and trail. So it's a fully integrated ecosystem with no leakage. The reason behind creating a solution was really to try to figure out how to supplement the GRS problem. At the time, we were very, just everybody who wants to make a change in their home, rather than just complaining about it, we decided to create a solution that could work for the Virgin Islands. We've been at this for 4 years, and each year we've been able to develop more technology and also help other islands solve some of their financial streams. The current company structure is a corporation, but locally is a LLC. The experience I've gotten from just doing entrepreneurship, tech entrepreneurship in a sense, is just really understanding that believing that we are doing purposeful work. So I don't really have too much pros or cons. It's kind of what I sign up for, and to accomplish anything great, you have to sacrifice immensely. So the experience has been great. Just being an entrepreneur in the Caribbean, getting to meet all kind of different people that look like us and be able to speak the same colloquial has always been a blessing. So that's like my 5-minute spill.
Dope. Thank you. Dope.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We're gonna check real quick if anyone from, I don't know, Upper Class OG was able to make it on. Okay, and I don't see Nathan on from Crucian Gold as yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and move into some questions. You guys have already told us some background on what got you into your business. But if you could maybe tell us on the technical side when it came to starting your business or when it comes to currently running your business, some advantages and disadvantages within that system, whether it be with a specific agency or if it's with customers, and like the things that you have to like go back and fine tune and, you know, so forth. So if you want to go ahead, Ramon.
Again, so in the infantile stage of my business, what I did is, as persons were, you know, starting to kind of develop interest in my products, I decided I wanted to take a look to see if it would be a viable move if I was supposed to really, you know, pour my dollars and cents and energy into the business. And so I decided to, at the time, just taking a break from life, I was working for a friend in a health food store, and it was the perfect test lab for me to do some research and development. So I made some, you know, the same products, asked to, you know, put it on the shelf, and then I was the person cashing people out and seeing those, you know, that revolving return of customers, same customers coming back. So I was able to say, hey, how did you like this product? Get actual real feedback, them not knowing that I was the creator of the product, and use that constructive or blind feedback to develop and improve upon my products. And from there, I started looking into actually now creating an actual business structure. So I went ahead and looked, you know, created a name, got my business registered, license, business plan, everything was done in reverse. So all that business plan and all that black and white and how a startup should start did not happen for me. A business plan came after as I was looking for funding and whatnot. Nonetheless, I digress. So I was at that stage where I was getting a business name, and now I'm, you know, I started to be intentional in terms of how I was going to build my, you know, brand awareness, how people are going to get to know me, how I was going to sell the products. And so I started humbly selling those products from my car, selling them from my handbag. And I didn't have an established market segment. So as a grassroots business, I'm like, hey, hit the people who you know, and then let word of mouth do its thing. So I took a big leap and I went into, a lot of people tease me and they call it behind God's back. It was in like the back of Sunshine Mall on the top floor. And they're like, why would you go there? There's no traffic. There's just one store that does nails. And I'm like, I know, but I'm going to make this work. And I had a kiosk that really didn't cost anything. I had no overhead, but I was here. I felt like a brand that looks like a brand. And then before you know it, everybody was coming. They were checking me out in the back. Oh, Cultured Naturals, Cultured Naturals. And this is now, I started to build the brand recognition and started doing pop-ups. Of course, I'm in the store now. I didn't have a, you know, storefront or anything like that happening. So I kept, you know, selling stuff and just making sure that I was always visible, that people could recognize it. Then I started focusing on marketing and, you know, learning about how, you know, to grab customers with, you know, short videos, short clips, whatnot. And from there, I was stumped. I'm like, okay, I'm doing good.
Yeah, check it out.
So the next I needed to go to the ATM.
Mute your mic, please.
I'll come back after.
Chinese, okay. Nobody to see anything on the. So from there, I started focusing on funding, and I discovered the EDA Incubator Program, where I met Kusa Holloway, and that was just a fantastic start to really veering into a direction where I could get the technical assistance, mentorship, and focus on really getting my business mobilized and taking it seriously, and me taking it seriously and people taking me seriously. So looking at my financials, getting my, you know, certain things together, and it being pretty much laid out, you know, if you want to get, you know, persons investing in your business, you need to get a business plan. So this was where I started the excruciating development of my business plan, because at the time I didn't really, even at that stage in my business, I figured it wasn't necessary, but of course it was. And, that program grooms me to really get ready to step out there. And then with that said, I went into the EDA STEP program, where after about a couple of years, I started really growing in business, and I was able to go to a number of trade shows and really see what those bigger businesses do, learn, definitely what's really out there in the marketplace. Like moving from an island to a mainland kind of situation is definitely a stark contrast to the marketplace. So, I started to reshift and look at my goals. What do I really want to do with my brand? Do I just want to stay here and mom and shop it, or do I really want to branch out? And so I started to do so. Had built a lot of trust and relationships here in the Virgin Islands, collaborated with a number of small brands, just like Crucian Gold. We have definitely done some great projects together. One was like a Valentine's project where we actually used their jewelry and embedded it into candles. So we started to, look at those B2B relationships and seeing how we could amplify the growth for, and brand recognition for both brands. And that has been, I would say, our growth over the last 7 years, and steadily so. We did definitely, COVID has been good to us. I know it was unkind to a lot of persons. And so when COVID started, I kind of had a head start in the race in terms of hand sanitizer. So we started, collaborating with another brand using their alcohol, and we started mass producing sanitizer. So this is where my nursing science background came in. We created, a unique sanitizer that is aromatherapeutic, so it helps with stress and anxiety, and it's moisturizing on the hand. I see one of the persons here, which was my employee at the time, that was very, very, very instrumental. She knew how we started from scratch. So we started with 5 gallons, and then we started to do thousands of gallons of it during COVID. That's Tasia. So she has borne witness to, a snailing to definitely going into a full sprint with her business. And currently we are looking to scale. So that's what it is. Any other specific questions, I certainly can answer those.
I'm trying to scale with you. I'm trying to get up there.
Let's go, Kai. Okay.
That was so inspirational. I have to say, there's a lot of information to take in, but your journey, is very inspirational. I hope everybody was able to take that in. I had a question specifically while you were talking, and I should have write it down. But I want to go ahead and give the floor to anyone in the audience. If you have any questions, put it in the chat, or feel free to ask now. If you have any specific to Ramon, and then we're going to move back to Avira Tech and ask the same question. Anyone have any questions for Ramon?
Yeah, no, I'm really interested about your relationship with Kusa Holloway, who's also going to be presenting on this series later on in the month. Can you tell us, one, how'd you come across them, and two, very directly, what was the direct benefit? Did it give you some seed capital? What was that process like, and how'd you benefit from it?
Kusa Holloway is one of those persons I would say is a blessing. It's more than a 9-to-5 for her. So even outside of the parameters of just the work hours, she would be that person who would push a client, say, hey, even if it's her being that first, she was one of the first persons to actually buy a product from me. And she said, hey, I really like your product, and I think that you should really look into taking this very seriously. And she started to align myself as well as other clients with mentors, opportunities to compete on a international level to get funding. I was one of the Caribbean Innovative Challenge winners through the EDA. So that was, there are different routes and even things that were non-relating to actually EDA that were opportunities for funding for small business startups. She would be that person who would say, hey, can you take a look at this? And actually, I would say during my sojourn to date, I've been able to enroll and take advantage of a number of professional development programs that have really helped my business to move from a mom and pop shop to a six-figure business. So I would definitely say that it's definitely more than even funding, but just aligning with the right persons, because you can think that you know what you're doing in an industry, but if you can be aligned with that person that's an expert, or somebody that can mentor you, or somebody that can say, hey, stay focused, don't be dismayed, which is a little bit more than your 9 to 5. I would say all hail to Kusa Holloway. She's that person. She's been that person for me, and I've heard for many other persons. So I think the EDA program is a phenomenal program to be able to yield different benefits as a small business. So, definitely explore that in terms of funding.
Epic. Thank you so much. I got a big question for Michael too, but let him introduce himself and do a little spiel. Do your thing.
Wait, before we get to Michael, for Ramon, I just had a quick question. When it came to writing your business plan, like, how did you go about doing that? Like, did you get help or did you sit down? How long did it take you? Because I know those documents scare a lot of people.
So Kusa Holloway had that big stick. So her name comes up again. She said, hey, by XY time at high noon, I need at least a draft. This is how you get investors. This is how you get funding. And if we're seeing those opportunities and you're not ready, then I'm not going to put you in that situation. So are you going to sleep on your future or not? So I started from a draft. It was excruciatingly slow. And she was one of the persons I sent the work in progress to. And I was able to get some constructive feedback from there. I was able to fine tune my business plan. So it's definitely had some good support getting that done.
Awesome, thank you so much. Let's go ahead to Michael Pemberton. If you want me to reread the question, or you could. No problem. You're having some issues with your audio though.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you a lot better now. Okay, so if you could just go into some detail. I know you say that, the reason why you got into it and you feel like it kind of overshadows the pros and the cons, but if you could go into some detail on how it's been since you started, or when it came to setting it up, whether it was dealing with the government entities down here or dealing with other personnel, because I know, your company has a lot of involvement, or you had mentioned the government. So if you want to go into any surrounding that with some pros and cons, and just, let the audience know some good insight.
Yeah, so when we started and to this date, it was always kind of it's the same how Ramon was able to go through the EDA and some of those government programs. Since we were more geared towards cannabis, we had to take a route of unconventional funding. So we got into the RT Park, and the RT Park brought the accelerator program, the first one. So it brought a level of, let me say, quote unquote, value due to the fact the 90% tax break on all investments and profits. So it was very intriguing, attractive to mainland investors. But we still face, I won't really call it like racial hurdles. Is more investors don't know about the talent pool in the Caribbean. Mainland investors, uh, the astute West Indian business people, it's kind of hard to convince them to invest in tech companies and not take a majority stake within your company. So, you that's the kind of like the balance you have to find of, okay, not giving up a large percentage of your company to bring in capital, but also understanding that the level of investors that you're going to deal with is not like the government programs where they want to do all kind of paperwork. They want to see a return on their investment, and there are not a lot of tech entrepreneurs in the Caribbean. So it's kind of hard to sell technology to Caribbean people, especially Caribbean people don't like to buy technology from people that sound like us and look like us. So we have to get rid from the stigma that not only Asians and Indians have the capability to develop seamless technology. So when it comes to how we approach technology and kind of the hurdles, it's just more about staying focused and understanding that when we started this journey, I knew that Avera would be the first unicorn in the Caribbean. That's the goal, and that will forever be the goal. So no matter what hurdles we face locally, on a regional level, on an international level, again, um, the hurdles are expected because we're doing something that no one is really doing, and that's creating a seamless tourism ecosystem by utilizing technology. When it comes to the local government agency, when it comes to formation, really, excuse my French, I really can't bitch about it. Due to the fact that when you try to do business and you try to establish corporations in other islands, it takes way longer than it does in the Virgin Islands. But since we do business in the Virgin Islands, we kind of look at it like we like to point fingers. Oh, the government office could move faster. But what I tell people all the time, the government is made up of Virgin Islanders and our peers and our classmates. So I'm not the one to drag down our people and say, oh, they could do better. We could have that a private conversation. But when you try to do business in Jamaica, you try to do business in St. Lucia, you're facing the same hurdles and longer timelines. So I really have no complaints about, and everybody know who I am. So it's not my bias towards the administration. It's just like a realistic expectation of the government. I don't expect the government to hold my hand for me to get my business license. I expect I'm going to jump in my car. I'm going to have to go Christiansted. I'm going to have to offer somebody lunch. I'm going to have to make some phone calls. I'm going to have to make promises. And I think that's the beauty of doing
Like,
business.
who you bribing with lunch? Who you bribing with lunch? I want
Hey.
I want free lunch too.
You can't fast track nothing for me in lieutenant governor office. So all those little things I find fun in it. I actually look forward in the life of a Caribbean person, where how we do business is kind of like a barter system. It's all about relationships. It's really not about money. It's not about me putting 100K in your pocket. It's when you have a child and your child need an internship, or your grandmother needs something, I could pick up the phone and call this person. And that's what I love about entrepreneurship in the Caribbean and not really in the mainland, because the mainland is just very straightforward and is predictable. But entrepreneurship in the Caribbean, you wake up to something new every day, you know? I do construction also. So someday the backhoe man might not come. The concrete truck might not come at time, man. You have a choice to overreact and flip out, or you can say, man, this is island life. I say, hey, I get the beaches, I get the good weather. So when stuff moving slow, that's nature saying that's commission. That's 10% commission of doing business in the Caribbean. We can't have everything and complain. People complain about food prices and come on ships. So that's how I approach entrepreneurship. Not because I think everything is perfect and I'm trying to paint a picture of a perfect dystopia. It's just having a realistic understanding of who we are as Virgin Islanders, who we are as West Indians, and not bringing down people who serves in capacity that facilitates us either starting a business or getting funding. We all in the same fight together.
I have a question or probably, a statement. How do we, as Virgin Islanders in the business environment, have a more global approach? It doesn't necessarily mean all our business has to exist here in the Virgin Islands, but we have great products out here. We see it all the time. Things that we think are so minute become multi-million dollar products outside of here. So I think one of the things as business people in here is we have to value our own ideas and our products and realize they are ones of quality. And the world doesn't know about it then. But we have to also protect our assets as well, whether it's copywriting something or trademarking it, because we have a lot of experience from our elders. But we tend to think sometimes because we're dealing with each other, no one's going to take my idea. Well, he or she may not look like me. He may be someone that comes here on a plane, sees your product, and next day you're trying to fight for something that's yours. So I think in a sense of business looking forward, yes, we live in an environment that provides that, but we also have to protect each other and our thoughts intellectually as well as what we produce.
Well, to that point, President, sometimes I think we take ourselves a little bit too serious. Um, Nobody's coming to the Virgin Islands to steal a concept. I think we don't. I don't think we. I don't. I believe a lot of us don't believe in ourselves enough. Because the world is global now. It's so easy to connect with people because of the internet or whatnot. I believe we underestimate our value, and we have this level of paranoia that everybody's trying to get us. But nature makes no mistake. The same how Ramon speak about her 7-year journey. I can remember I saw her with Mrs. Holloway at the EDN. She was there with, I think, her husband at the time, and she was pitching, and I was so impressed. And look, 7 years later, she has a storefront, but she took herself serious and she understand the value and she bet on herself. She didn't have that paranoia that somebody's gonna come in and steal her concept. We like to kill ourselves before we even get into the fight because we have so much self-doubt. If you want to sell pineapple, why can't you reach out to Dole's in Costa Rica? Why can't you reach out to Dole's in Hawaii? You don't have to go to a local farmer. If you want to get into skincare, why not reach out to Fenty? That's not unrealistic. But we believe that we could get trapped within these 84 square miles. The wall is ours. Let's use our relationships, our network, and reach out. Because when you measure us compared to mainlanders, nobody could see us. When you think about the size of our population, our talent pool, our creativity, the lack of resources, and the things we're able to build. Again, I have a bad habit of cursing bad words. I try to keep, I know being recorded, so I'm trying to filter my language, but nobody could really see us. I've been in a program for the top 36 tech companies in the Caribbean region, and we overperform all these top companies throughout the Caribbean because the Virgin Islands is a melting pot. We have so much different cultures that has migrated over the last century. Everybody have a little twang. Everybody's like a kalaloo, a little spice. Utilize that and push it. We are a vibe. Let's sell the vibe. Let's not worry about the 87,000 people that live in the Virgin Islands. That could be solely our customer. We see 2.5 million tourists annually. All you have to do as a business owner is, how can I get each tourist to spend 25 cents towards your business? And that's it. We don't have to think about feeding 10 million, 20 million. We got 2.5 million tourists coming here annually. How can all of us on this call convince each one of them to spend 25 cents? Over the last decade, port spending has gone down from $160 to $115. And we still haven't figured out how to get 115 of those dollars. 2 cruise ships came today. How much capital was circulated through the economy? Minimal. So I know I went off on a tangent, but that's where I'm at when it comes to reaching out to quote unquote global partners. We have value here. We have a great product. We as entrepreneurs, we have the ability. We have all these people coming here with an empty suitcase and their sandals, and they're Z-list entrepreneurs, but they're coming here and getting the biggest contracts. They're getting all the opportunities because we're fighting amongst ourselves. When a black man or a black woman wins something and St. Croix, we pushing up our mouth. But when somebody come here with empty suitcase and sandals, with no experience, lack of education, we say, yeah. we give the contract away, and the capital doesn't circulate in the economy. They don't invest in the economy. The children don't go to Virgin Island school. They don't care about the roads. All the money going back to Idaho, all the money going back to Wisconsin. And we here empty-handed having these conversations about how can we reach out to them, but they're coming here empty and leaving with a full suitcase. So that's my spill on local entrepreneurship. We are better than them, but we're not unified.
Thank you, Michael. I see, Annika, you have your hand up.
Yeah. Thank you both for sharing. I did have a question. I know as a small business owner, you kind of have to wear a lot of hats. As a person starting the business, you have to wear this administrative hat, the operations hat, probably have to get into the financials of your company and then run it day to day. I was wondering, of all the hats you've worn for your company, which one did you enjoy wearing the most and which one do you dread wearing?
So for me, I hate operations, but that's my skill set due to my military background. One hat I couldn't wear is really administrative stuff because I don't have that attention span to sit one place and do something. So my co-founder, Leo, was perfect for that. When it came time to raise capital, I had to create a very in-depth financial model to raise capital. And, I was able to raise capital after that financial model, but I needed to do more Excel stuff or whatnot. I have a BA in business and I didn't learn Excel at UVI, but I was so cheap and I had to teach myself through a friend who understands Excel, and she just taught me how to use Excel so I could build my own financial models. And that way I was able to learn more accounting and more high level MBA fundraising. So that's the two things that I really was able, the two hats that I wore in my business that really kind of helped me grow my skills as an entrepreneur. And that was the accounting piece, fundraising piece, and operations.
Okay, thank you. And Ramon, what about for you?
The bane of my existence is the financial facets in terms of just ensuring that, all I's are dotted and T's are crossed. It's extremely important at this stage in my business, but it's daunting at times because it's a lot and it really takes careful attention. And so I hired somebody to do that. And they do that for me and do it very well. However, I ensure that I'm still in the loop and I'm aware of what's happening. So I'm not just lollygagging. And I think that's a very important thing for all businesses. Don't just relinquish, this task to all these different experts and you're not really cognizant of what's happening in your operations. You should still have a full view and feel and understanding of what's happening. My favorite part about business is marketing and branding. I've really fallen in love with that, especially with the new apps and, being able to be, I'm a creative, so I'm able to really tap into, skill sets or learn new skill sets and use, other things that I had acquired before and put them together and really make some unique branding situations that I see translate into dollars and cents. And I like that. That's very gratifying.
Thank you so much. We have our other two local business owners, representatives on the line. So I just want to go ahead and let them be able to introduce themselves with their name, their position, their business structure, the years they've been in business, and probably go ahead and also include a purpose if you can. Nathan, we can start with you for Crucian Goal.
Yeah, Nathan's in the shop. You're muted, big guy.
Okay, wait, let me unmute for you. All right, let me see if I can. There you go.
So I'm unmuted. Oh, hello, good night everyone.
Thank you for, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yep.
can.
Okay, great, great. So yeah, my name is Nathan Bishop, and thank you for considering me to be involved in this. I'm very interested in seeing people, you know, working on their local businesses, whether you're a startup or long time business. It's really great that we share these stories throughout the VI and share our experiences and all that. So I'm very thankful to be on here. And would you like me to would you like me to talk about my business now or?
Yeah, if you could tell us your business structure, the years that you've been in business, and the purpose or like your why.
Okay, so really the story of my business is the story of my father, honestly, Brian Bishop. We are an S Corp. I think if I was to start again, I would do an LLC. An LLC, sometimes you can put more things underneath of it and all that. But I'm learning about this as we speak. We actually are just restructuring our books and changing some of these things. So it's really so lifelong learning experience. My father started this business, Crucian Gold, as a hobby back in 1972. He was born and raised Crucian, and he was working as a diver. His family was a very working class, blue collar family on St. Croix, one of 9 children, and everybody went into some kind of boat building or woodworking or, you know, some kind of very basic trade. And a lot of them were real experts at it. My father specifically was in diving and worked at the refinery at Hess. And he would carry around a little briefcase with him, little mahogany box, and he would make some jewelry on the weekend. That was his way of relaxing, his art form, his expression, and something he could do after a long day on the water. So he'd bring it to work with him, and some of the people at Hess found out about it and started buying little trinkets from him here and there back in the early 70s and in through the 80s. And then around 1981, he actually opened a shop on Company Street, very tiny little store. And we actually lived in the back of our shop at first because he couldn't afford to pay a mortgage on top of renting a storefront. So he put someone in his house to rent his house, and we lived in the back of the store. This is elementary school for me. And so when we would come home after school, we'd go and collect Cheney and grind Cheney and do all kinds of different little projects that Dad had for us. And I loved it as a child. I really enjoyed making things with my hands. So that's a little bit on the background of the origins of our business. I came back home after college in 2000, well, a little more than college, in 2001. And I kind of rolled up my sleeves and got involved with the business full time. My wife ended up doing the bookkeeping for the last 10 or 15 years. And so we've worn all the hats in the business, and that's basically us in a nutshell. Did I miss any of your questions?
No, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, that's romantic. That was so romantic.
We're gonna come back to you, Nathan, but we just want to give a chance for Upper Class OG to do an introduction with your name, your position, your business structure, the years in business, and the purpose or your why.
Awesome, awesome. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for including us in this very beautiful meeting. Thank you, thank you. I am only just a part of Upper Class OG. The rest of my team, they are a little caught up in a lot of our exterior projects. So I will be holding down the fort just for right now. Upper Class OG, we are also an LLC. To touch on everything that we do consider ourselves a small local brand, more a movement. And we figured the best way to touch the people is by utilizing things that people use, like clothes and things that people wear and events. These are sort of our best outlets to kind of share our thoughts and our beliefs, as well as, trying to initiate the change that we want to see in the world. It's a very, it's a challenge, and it is a big job. So, one at a time, and we started with our products. Upper Class OG has actually been initiated before I came along, I think for about a year or two. And then when I came along and I befriended one of the members of the group, Carl Michael, he was able to introduce me to his movement and his, how important this brand is to him. And I found a great passion within Upper Class OG because of the way we want to make a change. We don't want to rely on, I do believe in, I believe in teamwork. And I do believe that, from locally, we can go globally. But I don't want us to get fixated on the impression that you really need people from outside to help us make ourselves big. And in many ways, that might be a young seed thinking, might need a few years to grow in some soil for that to really catch. But we really want to, we really are trying to set some footprints out here with that kind of mentality. So I found a great passion in the movement, and I became very attached. So one of my roles is I am one of the photographers. I am one of the creative designers, along with Carl Michael. The group consists of 5 strong members. I want to say it really wasn't until 2019 when things really set off, because when I came in, another member, Irakmiel Henry, he also came in as well. He's not present in this meeting, but he also came in, and he was very connected to Carmichael. And again, this is a very family business, and I was one of the friends, as well as Irakmiel Henry were one of the friends that when we made connections with this business, in 2019, it became certain that this was the brand. And I think from right there, I would say 2019 was strongly the beginning of what is Upper Class OG. I can't remember the rest of your questions that you had asked, but I guess I just want to say that Upper Class OG, which is Upper Class Organic, our whole movement really surrounds a very organic mentality where we want to push for a healthy lifestyle, breaking generational curses, believe in ourselves so that people can understand that you can truly believe in yourself to make things happen. And so for the most part, we sell clothes, but we are not a clothing brand. We are really a movement brand. We are an organization that wants to propel the new generation into something far greater, to liberate us from a very from a slavery that's really an illusion, to be honest. So I hope that I was able to kind of like touch on everything that you had just asked. And if you guys have any more questions, do let me know. Was that good enough?
Yes, awesome. Thank you. So before we get into asking you and Nathan some questions, we had a question in the chat. So I just want to go ahead. Thank you, Kirsten, for putting your question in there. What tips can you share in terms of maintaining your competitive edge or level of innovation when the territory has been impacted by hurricanes and COVID? How do you know when to pivot to keep your customer? So I'll put this question out to Michael and Nathan, because I know, Ramon, you had touched on it a little bit. So Nathan, you can go ahead.
Oh, okay. Hello. Yes. So yes. Whatever you do, if you're making clothing or growing crops, you have to love what you're doing, and you have to really, really care about it, and not just the product, but the whole what it's doing for people. Because it's really ultimately about what you're doing for others in the community. That's how an economy works. You do something for me, I pay you for your service, and vice versa. So you've got to be able to do that. And so if that means that you have a storefront and you have to always keep your hours and be there, on time at 10 o'clock or whatever time you open, you've got to keep those things, those basics going. It's like getting up in the morning and doing your chores. And then once you have that base, you have to really be listening to your customers. Whatever service you're providing, you have to listen to the people that are taking it from you, that if they want something different, you want to see if you can provide it. If they're asking for a new design or a new flavor of something, you have to listen and always be paying attention to that. If they think that you're overpriced or underpriced or convenient, or maybe something about your service or your store is not convenient, you have to be listening to your people. Listen to your people. Listen to your people that come in your shop. Listen to people that talk to you on the street, and take that all in. And you have to wrap that up and do something with it. If it means doing more of what you're already doing, do it. If it means changing something. After the storms, it was really difficult for many, many businesses. One of the things we did after the storm, as soon as we had power back on in town, we got back to work. If people in the business needed help with their house, in some cases we would go and help them patch their roof, things like that. But we got right back to work. At first, that was cleaning everything, cleaning up after the storm, making sure your roof is secure, but get right back into it. You might not be able to sell anything to customers, but you can certainly clean your space, work on your workshop, do that deep clean you haven't done, get to making more product, or any type of thing you can do for your business when you're not open. And then as soon as you can get open, serve your customers. We did something as soon as we were open in town. Crucian Gold was open, and as soon as we started to see restaurants open anywhere in town, we went down there and did like a Facebook Live, and we let the world know who was open, what was going on in town, where you could get lunch, breakfast, dinner, what shops are open, and that sort of thing really was really big. A lot of people really like that, and so that's an example of something we did after the storms. We also did a lot of online business. We reached out to Crucians and Virgin Islanders that are off island, and we were sending jewelry all over the world to them, and just working on that customer base. So those are some things we did after the storm, and you could apply a lot of these same things to COVID or any other sort of disaster. Where you just gotta do whatever you can do while you can do it.
Awesome, thank you. Kusa, I see your hand is up.
Hi, good evening, Alex. How are you? And thank you
Okay.
so much for having me here. I joined a little late. I have my apologies. But I really wanted to chime in here as you were asking about what entrepreneurs can do. Especially after the storms and during COVID, you saw a lot of innovation from our small business community. Let me tell you, I was floored, absolutely floored by the innovation that I saw. They stuck it out. They found a way to get to their customers, and they found a way to sell their goods so that they could stay in business, keep their employees on hand, and still provide that product or service to our community. And I think that's what we really need to kind of focus on, is the innovation, figuring out what works for you. Everybody could sell a pan of rice. We could all be selling a pan of rice, but there's going to be people who are going to like my rice. They're going to like your rice, because it's all going to be a little bit different. And really and truly, when you're in a marketplace, you have to find out what makes you different, what need you're going to be serving that somebody else is not serving. Maybe their rice does not have peas in it, but mine's do. Or your rice has coconut milk, but mine's doesn't. You know, it's really about finding your niche and how do you persevere through entrepreneurship, because remember, entrepreneurship is the hardest job anyone would ever have. You're the first one up in the morning, you're the last one to go to sleep at night, and you're the last one to get paid most of the time. And it's really about figuring out, how do I connect with my customers? What kind of product or service do I provide to them that they don't already have, or that they can really buy my product or service over somebody else's? And I have to say, especially within our St. Croix community, our entrepreneurs are fearless. They're innovative, as you can see. And they really just put their nose to the grindstone and get it done. So I really just wanted to say that in support of our entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much. Michael, did you want to chime in on an answer for that question?
Yeah, I know this, I'm not even gonna say like, I love what Nathan said, and it's just really about just getting back into the fight and not being complacent. I spoke to a gentleman a couple of weeks back, and he was telling me when he used to work with Steve Jobs, you know, he was speaking about just not pivoting too much, because young tech startups usually die from indigestion, not starvation. And it's to Christine's question about pivoting. When COVID hit, we were about to launch our cannabis technology in Puerto Rico. And, you know, we had the confidence of, if we could have solved a cannabis banking problem in the region, why couldn't we find a way to contact trace and handle the tourism industry? So we pivoted to build Cronus. And that was a contact tracing technology that it had us all over the newspaper about and all that nonsense, right? So after we went through that BS, we had to pivot again and create Pelago. And that's our excursion and booking application. The reason we did that pivot, because we realized that, you know, we can't depend on the sole income of our business to be government contracts or government relationships, because there's a lot of bureaucracy in the Caribbean, not only the Virgin Islands, but when you try to sell technology to other Caribbean governments. So it's like what Ramon said, when she went through the situation with the hand sanitizer and her background, and she started to build relationships with other businesses, we realized that we need to start to build technology for small businesses in the Caribbean and get hyper-focus on transactions. So at that point, I know we're not pivoting anymore, because all the stuff we faced that forced our pivot put us on a more focused path. You know, when we started, we were speaking about cannabis technology. When COVID happened, we started to speak about contact tracing, travel health. The situation with DOH happened. We pivoted and we went into tourism technology. So right now, you know, I feel and I believe the company's at a point where we're hyper-focused on transactions in the tourism tech industry. For me to pivot again, that would show lack of commitment, and I'm not willing to go through the ebbs and flows of entrepreneurship. So you just have to find that balance to understand, okay, sometimes it's right to pivot, but sometimes you have to stand in the mud and take the licks.
Thank you so much. And Ramon, I see your hands up. You wanted to add a comment?
That question excited me and brought me back to something very important, a turning point in my business. So when the hurricane happened, I pretty much just had my first baby. I decided I'm not going to continue with Cultured Naturals Body Care, secondary to, you know, just the devastation and what was going on. So I literally put up an announcement, we will no longer be in business, et cetera, et cetera. Then this is when we started getting bite up by mosquitoes. All this thing is happening. And I went into business mode. Let me do a SWOT analysis on what's really going here. I have a bunch of wax leave over that I never experimented with, candle wax. And I started doing a SWOT analysis. I looked at my strengths, my weaknesses, my opportunities, the threats. The opportunity was everybody's daylights was getting bitten out of them by mosquitoes. And so the opportunity was to create something that was a repellent. So I had all this wax that I didn't use, and I didn't have the ability to do anything else, or my products, of course, because everything was shut down and the damage. So I restarted my business again, not even realizing I was doing so, making mosquito repellent candles. And let me tell you, when I said that the demand was crazy, we were driving in all kind of neighborhoods, stepping over a tree, whoever have newborn babies and whatnot, those were my target segment of persons. Hey, you know, you need to be repelling these bugs, this, that. And before you knew it, we were able to really make a good bit of capital and start up money to get going again and actually sustain our family, selling candle. And then I veered into a business, and this is how the opportunity really became something incredible for us. You know, the candle making business is projected to be a $5 billion business. So candles started to become very important facet of my business, or home scents and such, which I never considered. And it's an easy sell if you create really unique and cool products. And this, of course, is where the innovation comes in. I always thank Kusa for that, because she always, demarcate yourself. How do you differentiate in the marketplace? Everybody sells candles. What makes yours great? Well, I'm able to talk about it. I'm able to showcase it differently. I'm able to amp up my labels. I have the knowledge. I can educate the community about the different types of mosquitoes and the different issues that they bring. Before you know it, people are getting better value for their money buying candles from me. And when your jar is empty, don't toss it out. Bring it back and get it refilled for a cheaper fee. So I think that in terms of pivoting and what Nathan said, definitely I identify, and I definitely would shout that from the mountaintop to every business, big or small. So yeah, I would say I'm a testimony to that. And I think it's very crucial that all businesses really pause and reassess themselves. If even if it's every quarterly, where am I? Is the market saturated? How can I differentiate myself? Are there any threats, any competition, any opportunities? And how can I step out and definitely translate all of these efforts I've been doing into dollars and cents? So yeah, definitely awesome info from Nathan and Mr. Avera. Michael.
Thank you. You guys are giving some great insight and letting us into your business journey. And it's so important, I find, to this is one of the main reasons I wanted to do this, is to hear, others' journeys and share this with other people, because it's really inspirational. We did have a question in the chat from Akeem McIntosh, and I saw Kusa answered. So I'm just gonna go ahead and read the question and answer so that everyone's aware. If I need assistance developing a business plan, are there any professional services in the VI that you all can suggest I look into, and once it is developed, who do you guys suggest turning to for funding, particularly for grants and, of course, business loans? Kusa said for business plan development, you can contact the Small Business Development Center, or you can contact me at the VI Economic Development Authority, and we assess what your needs are. Check out the website. So she put that information in the chat. Thank you so much, Kusa, for putting that in there. Did any of the business owners, if you could raise your hand if you wanted to comment on, if you specifically have a brief answer to that question, if you wanted to add to that in terms of where you received grants or where you went to get business loans or to get professional service with your business plan and business development.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yeah.
I don't know how to raise my hand. Sorry, I don't see that icon. So I hear you're recommending the SBA, right? And I don't know if this is all right, but there's a federal agency that I just learned about recently, the SBDC, and that's a Small Business Development Center. And so we just recently had some conversations with them, and they're helping us revamp our bookkeeping system. They have a lot of different resources. I don't even know all of them. They've listed them all off to me. We immediately started meeting with one of their professionals on bookkeeping, and they are already, it's like a volunteer service. They're paid by the federal government. And so when they come and consult with you, it's free of charge. Now, in some cases, you can still hire them separately. Hello? Sorry about that. Do you hear me? I had some glitch.
Yeah, we can hear you.
So anyways, I just recently learned about the SBDC, and I really have very much appreciated their help. I believe I don't know whether they provide business loans themselves, but they seem to have information about everything business related, and it's very good. The people that come and speak with you have run businesses themselves. They're very steeped in various industries, and like I said, we're cleaning up our bookkeeping, but they have a lot of other resources. I know they have a lot of farming resources and agricultural things going on. They're actually located next to where I don't know if the Sprint store is still there, across from Plaza East, in that little shopping mall there. So, and then all you got to do is go to their website, the Small Business Development Center, and it's a very simple sign-in process. And then once you've signed in, they can get on the phone with you. They can send people to your business and help you with business plans, marketing, a whole variety of things. I highly recommend it.
Thank you so much.
That's what I have to say.
Thank you. So it is getting a little late, and I want to just, to respect everyone's time, pose one more question to all the business representatives on the line. And that is, what is the best advice you've received concerning business, and what is the best advice that you could give to a potential entrepreneur? We're gonna go ahead, let's start with Isabel.
Thank you very much. That was a very good question. I am very fresh and new in the business realm. And I truly thank the people that have went out of their way to offer us help, to initiate any sort of business connection. I got to give thanks to Ramon. She's definitely one of the people that was the most serious. She said, listen, if you want to grow your business, connections is a real thing. And she was very right. And I think that right there is something that a lot of people get very afraid of. We want to keep everything. We want to keep our knowledge. We want to keep our originality. We want to keep everything. And it's like, I believe that in order to in your blessings and to keep your blessings, you have to continuously pass them on. I can't even say it in a better way. Like, your blessings stop the minute you stop sharing them. And I truly believe that. And I'm still very new, upper class OG. We are still growing. We still have so much things to learn, but we want to continue to learn. We want to continue to feed and be fed. And I think that's a very important cycle to apply when doing business. Again, I'm still learning how to hold a business, but I will say that I've grown in many ways because I've been open to receive constructive feedback, not criticism, because that's not what I want to call it. Constructive feedback, something that helps me diminish what doesn't work for me and for me to attach what will help me. And honestly, just being open-minded to a moment that it's not going to be a continuous uphill. It's going to be a moment where the caterpillar will have to go into a cocoon for some time. You will have to remain in that moment of calmness to realize what I've been doing wrong, what hasn't been working for me, and then taking that moment for yourself, not stopping, but just taking that moment for yourself as a business, and then bringing it back, being consistent and surrounding yourself with people that want to share and want to put you on. Being put on is a very serious thing. And yeah, I'm still learning. And I really, once again, I truly appreciate you for inviting Upper Class OG to be a part of this meeting. A lot of successful business owners I see are already in here, and I thank you guys for not being so greedy, for being so willing to help, a lot of the people, and for sharing your success, because knowledge is success. And I really, I apologize for being a little early. As you can see, I just got off of work. My scrub still is on. So thank you again for the invite. And I look forward to any future meetings. I look forward to any future help that we receive. And yeah, just that is my input. And again, I still have more to learn, but that's where I reach. That's how far I've learned. So very good question. Very, very good question. Thank you.
Can I add to that? I wanted to shower this young brand with lots of flowers, Upper Class OG. I discovered them driving past Sunny Isles, and I just saw this squad out selling t-shirts. I call it a squad because they were very organized, exceptionally professional, had a great product, and they were on the sidewalk. And I was so impressed, the level of service and just just togetherness of the group, that I, started to, I kind of see myself in them as a young brand, and I'm glad to see them here, because I find that, we can learn from each other irrespective of the sizes of the brand. And it was just a humbling sight to see, but it was also very exciting for me, because I knew that if they could see what I saw, that they would progress well. And I said, you know what, I wanted to create a space for them, to encourage them and to foster that entrepreneurship. So their products are in my shop. So, and as I learned more about them and the movement, I definitely grew close to the brand because of the meaning. I definitely would admonish everybody that's on here tonight to support these younger entrepreneurs coming up, and pour into them. I mean, not only advice, but dollars and cents. I think they're worth it. And I'm super proud of them.
Thank you so much, Ramon. Thank you so much. You are light. Thank you very, very much.
I love it. Ramon, you can continue and go ahead and answer the question. When it comes to the best advice you've ever received when it came to business, and what advice can you give to a potential entrepreneur?
What was the best gift I've ever gotten in business?
The best advice that you've ever received.
Oh, the best advice. Okay. I would say one of the best advice I've gotten in business, and you've heard me say previously that when it comes to the financials, it's the bane of my existence. But definitely the advice I got was to pay very close attention to that. As your business grows and you get ready, you need to have your business plans and all of these things together in order to position yourself to get funding. If you're going to grow and scale your business, if you really take your business that seriously, it is pertinent that you know where you are and have certain financial documents ready to go in the drop of a dime if you do have a financial opportunity. And that, I would say, has definitely shifted the mobility of my business and being able to take advantage of prospects out there. So I would definitely say start now. Don't take it for granted. Pay attention to the financials. If you don't know exactly what you're doing, get an expert like I did, and then make sure that you are also cognizant and learning along the way about all the different factors needed, because you can't run your business on air, right? So you can't feed your family on air. You definitely need some funding, even if it's you're bootstrapping it. And what I did was invest and invest and reinvest into my business until I got to a certain point. But you still need to see where you're going. And also looking at the financials is actually a big motivation. Guys, imagine you're working year in, year out. You don't know if you're growing, you don't know where you are. So if you see that picture, you're like, you know, I'm doing good. Oh, I'm not doing good here. Why? And you can make certain assessments and see how you could improve or take certain measures to improve your earning power. So yeah, definitely. And what was the second question? What advice I would give to
potential entrepreneurs?
You know what advice I would give that you would not find in a business textbook or anything? The advice I would give, and as Kusa said, entrepreneurship is one of the toughest jobs. I would say, ensure that you self-care. Take care of your body, mind, and spirit. You know, we're thinking about, you know, commodity goods and all of that and getting a check at the end of the day. But if you're not intact, if you're not taking care of yourself, then everything else will definitely fade away as well. And I learned that several times over, that it's important to ensure that you take care of your mind, you're clear, you're rested, in order to sail a healthy ship, run a healthy business. So that would definitely be one of my biggest advice to entrepreneurs, young and small, to, you know, I mean, young or older, to take care of your well-being in order to be able to be intact to run a successful business.
Thank you so much. Let's go ahead. Michael, you still there?
Yeah, the best advice I receive as an entrepreneur is just being coachable. And the best advice I would give to entrepreneurs or up-and-coming entrepreneurs is know what you know and know what you don't know. It makes life a lot more easier because successful people like to share information. A lot of people I've met that are way more successful than me had no problem sharing information and giving advice. So it's just really about being coachable, that if you get unfiltered advice or mentoring, take it. It's not personal, it's business. And just understand it's impossible for you to know 1% of any topic. So people you run into, even your customers and just relationships, can teach you something.
Thank you, thank you. So Nathan, if you could end us off with your 2 cents.
Yeah, so the best advice that I got, and then to give some advice. I want to just say that, yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Ramon. You know, it's that self-care thing really hit me when you said that, because I've been dealing with some of those workaholic issues myself, and it's really hard to know when to take a break and when not to, because as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you really, you know, the numbers don't care, you know, you know, your public doesn't know how many hours you're putting in, and so it's really hard to find that balance to know how much to take off, because sometimes you do have to work a few 7-day weeks but at some point to take that time for yourself. So I wanted to just agree with you on that. And honestly, I think that my best advice in any of my business has been from customers, you know, whether it's direct advice or just listening and reading between the lines. You know, those customers really can give you some of the best feedback. And then I want to reiterate what Ramon was saying about the books, the bookkeeping end of it and the corporate end of it, which is my least favorite thing to be dealing with. It's not my thing at all, but it is so important. And you can have someone doing your books for years and think they're doing a good job, and come to find out that there's a lot of problems. And we've had that happen a few times. So really, you know, ask around, you know, ask people, try out a bookkeeper, learn something yourself. If you have a bookkeeper, accountant, CPA, get them to teach you the basics as to what you need to know, what numbers you need to look at, what line items you need to look at, That's really important, and we're still learning lessons about that many decades into this family business. So yeah, work hard and get a good bookkeeper.
Thank you guys. So I'm just gonna
Thank you.
share my screen one last time before we end for the night, just to remind all of you on the line who might have missed it from the beginning. Oh, let me present mode. Okay, here we go. So today we had our first week in this series. We're doing this for the whole month. We have 3 more sessions left. Next week, we'll be talking about setting up the business. This is more on the technical side. We have a lawyer coming in, like a tax lawyer coming in. He's gonna be discussing the different type of business types and business structures. And we're gonna be discussing registering a business, the business license, and business insurance. Moving on to the 3rd week in April, April 20th, we're going to be focusing on discussing acquiring funding, business banking, business credit, business accounts, also specific business funding with the EDA and RT Park. Kusa's going to be one of our speakers. So really look forward to that. And I hope you guys can come back for all of these sessions. The last session is going to be April 27th, continued business success. We're gonna, sorry, I heard some echoing. So continued business success, we're gonna have operations and bookkeeping presentation. And then we're also gonna have another panelist session like we did tonight with the local businesses, Bliss Bar and Restaurant, Jungle James, Red Sunset Realty, and Yvette Ross Edwards law firm. So I hope you guys can come and join us back for those upcoming sessions. We would really appreciate it. There's so much knowledge to be shared out here. And again, thank you so much for those business owners that came on tonight and shared all your knowledge. For the participants coming on here, I hope you guys are feeling as inspired as I. I'm gonna just leave you guys with a little quote from Winston Churchill. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. So with that being said, thank you so much. President Dean, do you have anything?
So I just like to say thank you for a great presentation tonight, a great opportunity for us all to be here and to learn. Rotary is an organization of business owners. If you didn't know that, hopefully you see the product before today. And most of us kind of come from a business background. Our club is the Rotary Club of St. Croix, the oldest club in the Virgin Islands. We like to refer ourselves as a mother club. We have home for many people like you. So if you'd like to join our club or want to come to one of our meetings, you can leave your email in the chat. We'll get a hold of you and invite you to the meeting. And I just love the energy that's here. You know, if you think about the small acts, that's what our club is about. We're a small club, but our reach is far. And we reached a lot of people today, and we've learned a lot more stuff, and we're going to be better than when we first came on the call. So I like to extend you the opportunity to do so, you know, and have you, you know, come and see what Rotary is all about. There's a need for stuff like this, and we put this together to better serve our community and the business opportunities that come from it. So I just like to extend that to you. And once again, I'd like to thank Alex. I'd like to thank past President Kai, incoming President Joel, all the members in our club. Monica, just thank you so much. Mr. Beck, David, I see you on the call as well. Thank you so much for a great night, guest speakers. It was great. And let's do this again next Wednesday. Thank you. Good night and God bless.